So I'm wondering, first of all, is there any particular accomplishment or piece of work that you're most proud of?
I think the thing, if people know my name, the thing that they will know me for is writing about qualitative methods.
Mm.
And that happened completely by accident. Um, so my friend Ginny was in the UK and based at UE for a sabbatical. So why don't we write a paper about thematic analysis? Because we're both teaching it and we haven't got a good resource to give to students. And there's nothing really that kind of captures our way of thinking about qualitative research, which is so fundamentally kind of influenced by kind of feminist kind of methodology and critical methodology. And so we thought, yeah, let's write a paper. So we wrote a paper. It got really lovely reviews. We've tried to guess who the two reviewers were. Can't. And it was published. And we didn't think anything of it because back then we're both doing kind of critical research on gender and sexuality, engaging with tiny audiences, me in particular, really tiny audiences, because I was doing lesbian and gay research, as it was called then. Ginny was doing kind of feminist research around cosmetic surgery and various things like that. So I had a slightly bigger kind of audience. I had a more niche kind of audience. So we're used to kind of people not really, talking to very small groups of people who spoke our language. And then all of a sudden, this paper started getting noticed and it started getting cited. And I can remember being in the pub with a friend who I think was visiting from Canada. And it was her husband, and I think a friend of her husband who was all academics. And I sort of mentioned, oh, this paper's got like 100 citations. They were like, wow, that's really good. And now it's got 140,000 something. So
That's a huge amount.
yeah, so this kind of really shifted things for us because eventually we started getting asked to do book chapters in edited collections and then talks and teaching and so on. And it is kind of defines what we do. It is just contributes a large part of what we do now. And it's kind of fascinating because we've gone from having these conversations with other LGBTQ plus psychologists or other feminist psychologists about issues around gender and sexuality to having a really big platform in a more mainstream kind of part of academia and talking to people across loads of different disciplines. But the thing I love is that they're getting a bit of feminist psychology and they don't know they are, because it is so kind of integral to how we think about qualitative research, that the wonderful feminist methodological literature that Celia and Sue kind of made us read and engage with, and they themselves were producing and creating, so fundamentally kind of shaped how we think about qualitative research, that it's in kind of everything we do. So even if we don't explicitly kind of brand things as feminist psychology, it still is. And we're sort of getting that everywhere, which kind of is enjoyable. And we also do that with the examples that we use, to the extent that we had someone contact us about the first paper that we published, because we use examples from Ginny's PhD research, which is on the social construction of the vagina, and my PhD research on social construction of lesbian and gay parenting. And this guy contacted us and said, have you got any other examples? Have you written anything else? Because I've got male students who won't read the paper because it mentions vaginas and lesbians.
Oh, wow.
And we're like, no, sorry. We haven't got anything that's kind of better than that,